We're back. I hope we remember how to do this.
Cinesmack contains spoilers of the spoiling type. If you don't want your spoilers spoiled, please turn back now. Otherwise, enjoy the show!
Hello, Cinesmacketeers, and welcome back to Cinesmack. I'm your host, Mike Keeler. Joining me as usual, owner of One Genome Short Production, Gabe Rowald.
Good evening, folks. It's been a while.
Executive producer of the Des Moines 48-Hour Film Project, Sam Twomey.
Good evening, folks. Samuel Pace Twomey here.
And owner of Cheshire Moon Films, Tom Haggis.
I'm ready to sail the seas of smack.
Nice. So, yeah, it's been a while. It's been 2 months, and I am very rusty. So, without further ado, I'm going to I'm going to poke the monkey, and we'll move on to our first category. Actually, we have to find out what we're doing.
Yeah, we haven't decided what we're doing next time yet, have we?
Oh my God!
No, we have to figure out what
we did.
what we're talking about.
Never get recorded ever.
God.
Oh, don't worry, this will all be
figure out
edited
what
out.
we're doing. Oh, you mean
All
the
right,
order?
let me poke the monkey and tell you what we're talking about.
Ladies and gentlemen, pirates and sailors, welcome to the main event! Tonight, we have high adventure on the high seas as the Danish and the Americans duke it out to see who can make a better Somali pirate film, who will be rescued, and who will be left swabbing the poop deck. In the first quarter from 2012, directed by Tobias Lindholm, starring Palu Asbæk, Soren Malin, and Dar Salim, A Hijacking! In the second quarter from 2013, directed by Paul Greengrass, starring Tom Hanks, Barkhad Abdi, and Barkhad Abdi Rama, Captain Phillips!
Okay, now we can move on to the next category, which is our first category, which is writing. Tom, take us away.
You know what? When you sit down, and you watch the trailers for these two movies. They seem on the surface very, very similar. But after watching them, I was actually surprised what a different take the two of them took on, a hijacking plot. The first thing that I took notice of was that Captain Phillips took the time to go in and actually go into Somalia and talk, show a little bit about the recruiting of the hijackers, and I thought that was a really cool approach because it, though it was brief. I mean, it's only probably about 5 or 6 minutes. That it actually kind of humanized the hijackers a little bit. Whereas a hijacking seemed less about the conflict on the boat, and while they did cover that, but it was really more about the power players that are involved in a hijacking, something that Captain Phillips kind of skipped over. But with a hijacking, it was really more about the corporate heads versus the not even the hijackers, but the mouthpiece for the hijackers, who is responsible for the negotiations. So to that end, I thought it was really interesting how it's both about hijacking, but in very different terms. And personally, from the story standpoint, I guess the movie snob in me was expecting a hijacking to do better because, when it comes to stories, usually the American film doesn't hold up as well to the foreign film, but I have to say, I thought the story in Captain Phillips was a little bit more engaging, and it kind of helped push through the movie a little bit. A hijacking, and it may have been the point, it kind of beat you over the head with it, that how long this process was. Whereas Captain Phillips was over the course, of like a week and a half, I believe. Whereas a hijacking really, went on for months. And that was the part where that was a really interesting way of just kind of beating you over the head as a viewer. And I was exhausted when I got done watching a hijacking, and it's really not that long of a movie.
And
What did
certainly
you
they're not going to win like an award for best sunshine fun time writing. There was some like really dark stuff there. It was great to me. It was grating as a viewer to watch it. Like I know they had to go there because that's what they were showing, but it was like, for me it was a tough watch.
Well, and I think it's interesting that both of these are based on true stories. So you already have kind of a story outline. You already have kind of a story arc and characters for you. So how do you make it dramatic? And for a movie like A Hijacking, how do you take 8 months worth of material and boil it down to the most dramatic, the most interesting, the most meaningful stuff? And I think actually both of these movies did a pretty good job of that, taking these real life events, these real life people, and dramatizing them enough to make them interesting for film goers, but not not bastardizing the original material too much, and also being relatively even-handed about it. There's not really, I feel like neither of these really passes much judgment on either side, or at least passes kind of equal judgment on both sides of the story. It's not only like the Somali pirates are total villains, because like Tom said at the beginning of Captain Phillips, they kind of humanize those people. They're just people. They're struggling. This is how they need to get by.
Right.
And they're not necessarily just flat out evil people. They're doing this for a reason. It may not be a good reason. They may be wrong for doing it, but neither of these films really passes judgment. It just displays, the facts fairly even-handedly and still imbues some drama into both, I think.
Were these both books before they were movies?
No, I don't think A Hijacking was a book. It just has the one screenwriter listed as the writing credit on it. So I don't know what the source material was before it, but it does has Tobias Lindholm as the writer. So
I think as far as engaging characters, I know part of this is going to fall into acting, but it would have to be Captain Phillips to me. Like, it'd be interesting to see how, to read that before you have it cast, because once you have it cast, then, your villain is going to kind of, always look like that or what have you. But there were some, insights into those characters, some glimpses of panic under a cool exterior for Tom Hanks' character. Under Mr. Captain Phillips. And I don't know, writing wise, I probably lean that way.
Yeah, I feel like Captain Phillips was a little bit more succinct and really, was a lot more dramatic, and the character development was very strong. So I think, if I had a leaning, I'd be leaning toward Captain Phillips as well.
I think it was really. I like the what I really like about putting these two up against each other is the way that A Hijacking uses time as a weapon, and the way that Captain Phillips uses proximity as a weapon in the close confines, and the fact they're right on top of you and that kind of thing. And you didn't really get that so much from The Hijacking and vice versa. And I thought both of them did a really good job using the hijacking in completely different ways in terms of, this is how they get you. And, I'm an idiot. I live in Iowa. I don't have a lot of experience with hijacking. So I just assume they get on the boat, they take the boat and ask for ransom. But it's, there's actually, there's more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak.
All right. Well,
sure. Hell yeah.
All right. You guys want to put it to a vote?
Sure.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
ready? All right. Tom, since you started us off.
I'm going to go with Captain Phillips on this one.
All right. Gabe.
I liked them both. I think they both did a great job, but I also would pick Captain Phillips.
All right. And Sam.
I think I like Captain Phillips.
And there we go.
That was an interesting,
Yes, I'm going lowbrow tonight.
it was an interesting reference.
Well, the hijacking doesn't have a lot of trivia on it. neither does Captain Phillips when it comes to writing. But I will say the line, "Look at me, I'm the captain now," was an ad lib by Barkad Abdi. Am I saying his name right? Is it Barkad? Is it Barkad?
I wouldn't know.
Abdi? But
He's sitting right here. Let me ask him.
Okay, ask him.
Barkad.
Yeah.
Okay, Barkad Abdi.
And he's
Hang on.
yeah.
He's shaking his head.
He's doing the
Barkad?
podcast now.
Barkad.
Archive.
All right. Well, what Thompson?
He left.
He left. He was bored.
I didn't think he was that good. I'm sure we'll get into that in a minute, but
All right. Well, yes, we will. Let's move on to our second round. I got that right, guys, which is acting. Sam.
Yay.
Yeah, Sam, tell us how he wasn't
So-
good.
I don't know. I know he got an Academy Award nomination, Barkad. That's what I knew of this film before I actually came to it. I knew that Tom Hanks was in it. When I actually saw it, I did not think his performance was that strong. Well, at least it didn't resonate with me. I'm sure some people found it to be quite good, or he wouldn't have received the accolades that he did. But for me, it wasn't. I don't know. I didn't enjoy his performance as much as I thought I was going to, based on word of mouth, which you never know. Did enjoy Tom Hanks immensely. Just continues to excel at his craft, but keep it human enough that you can relate to it. And I think that's what always served him well. Hijacking was very... I liked the style of it. It lets you identify with the characters, so I think the acting kind of complemented the feel. It had a reality type vibe to me. I mean, not 100%, but more or less, there was more, I think, some free flowing with their performances to go along with this, all this passage of time. So I don't know. I mean, I think there was instances of good performances in both, but it's Tom freaking Hanks. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Tom Hanks for sure. He really does continue to excel at his craft, and he never just cashes it in. I feel like there are certain actors who are pretty good, but sometimes just like certain roles that like this is a paycheck. They're not really trying that hard. And Tom Hanks just never seems to do that. No matter what type of role it is, whether it's something dramatic like this or, comedic, it doesn't really matter. So you really can't go wrong with Tom Hanks. And I agree with you that that Hijacking has a very kind of documentary kind of feel to it. And I think the acting, like you said, complements that, actually. The acting doesn't have to be overly dramatic, because you get more of the feeling that this is just actually being recorded on a certain level. And so these people can be the actors can be a little bit more casual about it and be more kind of everyday about it, if you will. And I thought the performances were, I never felt like I was taken out of that feeling that this is almost kind of a documentary style kind of viewing of this event. So I mean, their acting, was good enough to never really kind of break that feeling. But I didn't feel like anybody really stood out.
In A Hijacking?
I don't think so. I really liked the guy. I really liked the I don't remember his name, but the guy back at the company, the head of the company. What was it?
Peter.
What was it? Is that the character's name, Peter?
Yeah, Peter. Yeah, Soren
Yeah,
Mall.
I really liked him, and he had this really he really kind of gave off this tension. Like you just saw him on screen, and you just got kind of uncomfortable because you felt like, okay, this guy's kind of unpredictable, and he's got some power, and so and it wasn't until the very end where he started that started to peel away, and he started to become more like human and more kind of approachable, if you know what I mean. As he wore down, his humanity kind of came out. His tough exterior kind of melted away, and I enjoyed his performance quite a bit. And I thought they were all good, but I don't feel like anything really jumped out at me.
See, and I would say that of the two films, I mean, Tom Hanks was great, and Tom Hanks is always great. I was kind of going wishy-washy on his accent a little bit, but I thought it was a little obnoxious. But for the most part, I thought Soren Malling in A Hijacking was the best actor out of both movies together. And I thought, because it did kind of go in with this thought that, oh, here's the corporate head, and he's going to play hardball and put people's lives in danger. But he really brought, a human face to it. And in these times, it's rare to see that, where you see, a corporate head like him, you become emotionally invested in what essentially is a business deal. And he, you could see the weight of every decision that he made start to wear on him. And I thought he was absolutely amazing. And I really, really enjoyed his performance. As far as Barkhad Abdi, I thought he did pretty well. Has never been an actor in a movie before, but I'm kind of with Sam on that one. I don't think that it especially this year, deserved a supporting actor nominee, because it was such a great, strong year for that category to begin with.
Right. Yeah. I didn't feel like his performance stood out personally. It didn't stand out in a good way or a bad way. It was a very suitable performance, but nothing outstanding.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds like we're ready to vote.
Ready to vote? All right. Let's do it. Sam.
I'm going to go with Captain Phillips.
All right. Tom.
I'm going to take A Hijacking.
And Gabe.
Well, I think Tom Hanks wins it for me, so I got to go with Captain Phillips.
Homers. You're a bunch of homers.
and first, before Tom voted for A Hijacking, I was gonna say, it sounds like it's gonna be fairly lopsided tonight, but who knows? It might go the other way. We don't know.
Don't know. During an interview on NPR's Fresh Air, Tom Hanks said the first time he met the actors playing the Somali Pirates was when they started filming the pirates taking over the bridge. Paul Greengrass mentioned he did this intentionally to build up tension between the actors on board the ship and the actors playing the Somali Pirates. I think I'd heard that around the time it came out, too.
Really? I've heard of directors trying different tricks like that to get a response, but I'm pretty sure Tom Hanks knew they weren't being hijacked for real.
Well, right, but just kind of makes it a little awkward, Like you haven't been able to talk with these guys, or
you haven't necessarily rehearsed with them.
Right. It's all just like bam there, And I know you would know you're not being hijacked, but it might.
Acting.
It's acting. Thank you. So I don't know. That's kind of cool. I know but it'd probably get your heart rate up, and I don't know, make it feel a little bit. Make you act a little different than you would if you were comfy with these guys. If you're like, Bakra or whatever, Barkhad, just put the gun down. Let's go have a coffee or something. So, yeah, I don't know. That was stupid. Let's move on to our third category, which is directing. Gabe, please start talking
right.
so I can stop.
I think. Well, I think, like we've talked so far tonight, that while the subject matter seems on the surface to be very similar, that the approaches to both of these movies are very different. You could almost say that Captain Phillips is kind of an action movie to a certain degree. And Paul Greengrass is really good at that kind of thing, taking a real life situation, handling it with ease and with respect, and then also creating good pacing. One of the things that I really liked about Captain Phillips is that the pacing was very good. You didn't feel rushed. You didn't feel like he was skipping over anything, but you also didn't feel like there was a moment for you to kind of relax, or there wasn't any moment where you got bored. And one of the things I liked the best about that was definitely the pacing. Cinematography was really awesome too. There were some really nice shots in it, and they, it was an interesting balance between these really big, wide open spaces, with the exterior of the boat and, from the air over the boat and the ocean, and then contrasted with really, really small spaces like the lifeboat and other places inside the ship. And I thought he balanced that stuff very well and handled both situations really quite nicely. I really enjoyed the difference in A Hijacking and the different approach to it, because like Tom said earlier, the director really uses time, really uses pacing to build the tension, not really building through kind of action or, you know, moving camera or anything like that. It's this slow pacing that really starts to build tension, because you want to see a resolution to this issue. You don't want it to go on and on and on, but it does. And I felt like that was an appropriate choice for that. And I also liked the choice of kind of a documentary style look to it. It's got kind of a lower fidelity kind of look to it. It's got, you know, handheld camera. It feels very intimate and very documentary style, and I really enjoyed that about it. And I enjoyed the contrast with Captain Phillips.
Sure. Well, you know, one thing that's a big contrast too, though, and I think you're absolutely right, Gabe. Like, Hijacking was like $15 million budget, and Captain Phillips was like $55 million. And so, like, that served a lot of their needs. And I think the director made great use of his resources to make a film as dynamic as Hijacking, for such a considerably less budget with all of that stuff at sea. I mean, that was like, there's lots of scenery there.
Yeah, and I don't know how that it translates exactly, but that I noticed that budget, that $15 million budget, was actually in Danish kronas, and that actually translates to just under $3 million US dollars.
Wow.
So it's really that difference that you're talking about is even greater, if you know, in US dollars. So. And I think, yeah, they did an admirable job with that money on A Hijacking for sure.
I was, you know, I kind of keep going back to this, but a lot of what I take away from both of these movies is how I felt when the credits were rolling at the end. And there, in both the cases, there was very much a sense of, oh God, thank God it's over, and not in a bad way, you know, not like watching Twilight, but
But
I got
like,
nothing. I just
want
want
to kill myself now type of.
I just wanted to take a jab at Twilight. No, but seriously, I thought the feeling that you had at the end of these is, you know, Captain Phillips, it was just and a lot of it's the direction that has to do with this. Paul Greengrass's direction is just it's so tense, and the physicality of it, and the way that the cameras are constantly moving, and you know, behind, shooting over people's shoulders to get that sense of confinement. And he does such a great job with that. And then Hijacking is that interminable. I feel like you just sat through, you know, a 4-month-long movie, and I really like the way that the directors were able to take what was written on the page and carry it over and deliver that when the credits are rolling. That I, you know, thank God it's over. And you know, it's fun to leave a movie even when you have negative feelings like that. It's fun. I find it fun to walk away where the movie leaves me with a little something that kind of endures, I think.
Yeah, there's definitely a sense of relief when both of them are done, but you get that relief from, or I even maybe felt kind of exhausted.
Yeah.
But it was a different type of exhaustion for each one, like you were mentioning. For Captain Phillips, it was like, oh, you know, I'm exhausted because it's like I've been running, you know, and A Hijacking is like, I'm exhausted because I've been waiting and waiting and waiting, you know, and it's a different type of exhaustion for each one when you get done. And it is, there's just kind of relief, like, you know, it's completed. It's done.
Right. It's over.
And I don't think you could deliver. I mean, I'm sure Captain Phillips did very well in Scandinavia, but I don't think a movie like A Hijacking would go well over with American audiences, because I don't think American audiences go to the movie theater to get that interminable feeling of the movie just keeps going and, you know, browbeating you. And I just,
Right.
you know, But that's what's so great about international cinema is you get to see these different styles of filmmaking that, aren't delivered at the Cineplex.
Right. Well, and I don't think it was I don't think that kind of browbeating, as you put it, was necessarily a bad thing. I thought it was very appropriate for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And I wasn't ever really bored. I just felt like, whoa, this is a different pacing to this, and it's a different way of building that tension.
No, that my comment was really more on American audiences and how their unwillingness to accept, a different style of filmmaking is all.
Yeah, the general audience, because you still, I mean, thankfully, we still have like the privately owned theaters, like the Fleur and multiple other ones around the country. Thousands of them that will show these types of films. So lovers of not only movies but lovers of the cinema can go and watch it. So yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, and we're also seeing a shift to kind of these smaller independent companies that are trying to bring that kind of thing, like the Flix Brewhouse that's coming into Merlehain Mall.
Yep.
Basically celebrating independent filmmaking or kind of these fringe and, showing things like Rocky Horror and other things that are for film enthusiasts.
I agree. All right, boys, want to vote on this?
Sure.
All right. Gabe, you're first.
Well, I think Paul Greengrass is kind of becoming a modern master, and I think Captain Phillips is really a testament to his skill at taking these stories and building characters and editing with great pacing. So I can't help but vote for Paul Greengrass and Captain Phillips.
All right, Sam.
Well, the grass isn't always greener on the other side, let me tell you. Because I am totally voting for Tobias Lindholm in A Hijacking. Way to hit a homer out there with little resources. A big on story, and well done.
All right, Tom.
Boy, this is probably the hardest one for me. I'm just thinking back. I mean, I watched Captain Phillips a couple months ago, and I remember the credits rolling at the end and just feeling physically drained and exhausted. And I don't really get like that often with action movies. I don't really get invested in them, so I'm probably going to give it to Paul Greengrass because it was quite a feat. And my hats. I hate voting in this category, but I'll probably give it to Paul Greengrass. Yeah.
All right.
Darn it. I feel really bad. He's sitting right here.
We didn't know you had the whole cast and crew there at your
of
house.
Both films.
Yeah, both films. We're having a hijacking cinema movie marathon.
You hijacked them, didn't you? That's why they're there.
Tell us.
How long have they been there? Have they been there the whole 2 months since we watched these movies?
Well, you kept putting it off, and I kept coming downstairs going, "Sorry, guys."
Okay, yeah.
Let me freshen up that duct tape
this month.
Yeah, I'll freshen up your rope and duct tape for you. Sorry.
right.
But the funny thing is, as I'd walk down the steps to see them, across in front of me, it would say day 37.
Didn't you trip on that one time before you got used to it?
Who keeps putting these numbers here? Somebody's going to get hurt.
I'm sorry, that's awesome. Oh, okay. I'm looking for trivia about the directing of both these films, and there is not a lot. Like it just. I'm trying. Sorry, guys.
While you're looking, I have to tell you, what almost lost it for Paul Greengrass was Gabe calling him that he's approaching modern master, because I was like, oh no, he's not. I'm voting for Hijacking.
You almost ruined it, Gabe.
I think he is though. I mean, he's got so many movies that I really enjoy that I think are just so well done. From they're kind of action movies, but they develop character, and they don't just it's not just about explosions and that kind of
Like
thing.
action light, like an action for the older set.
Oh, yeah,
Right,
you know,
right.
I forgot he did Green Zone. Green Zone is amazing.
Is it? That's one I
Yeah.
have not yet seen, and I
Oh,
wondered about that one.
that's Matt Damon. So I mean, and the
Matt
Bourne movies are
Damon.
great. So
Yeah, see, and
Gosh, that's
that's what I
tough.
mean.
Okay, here we go. In a hijacking to make the phone call scenes between Soren Malling and I'm not even gonna act like Pilu. Weird letters. Appear authentic on film. Director Tobias Lindholm filmed those scenes as actual conference calls, with Malling being in Denmark and Asbaek being in Somalia.
What? He was literally
Yeah.
in Somalia at
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
So,
So
yeah,
did
that's the only piece of trivia for the
they
hijack.
film on both ends at the same time?
Oh my.
Oh, what kind of movies are we talking about now?
Need a lot of light for that. Anyway,
We just broke our budget.
yep,
We're shooting on both ends.
we're shooting on both ends.
God.
All right, here we go. On to the final round. Thank God. Overall, Tom, please take us away.
I don't know if there's much else to be said. We could talk about, the music and stuff like that. If anything I'm saying is going to be rehashing what we've talked about before. My hat's really off to a hijacking, especially in light of the budget they had to work with. It was a really amazing story, and the way that they were able to. I mean, you have to imagine that Tobias Lindholm's like, I got this really great story of a hijacking on a ship, and I'm sure people are like, oh, it's been done. It's, what's the angle you're going to take? And they took such a creative angle with it, taking it out of the hands of the physical hijackers and turned it into a very personal story about Mikkel and then the corporate guys that had to argue back and forth, which is essentially a business deal. And that was the part that I found the most fascinating about hijacking. And if you can't tell, I'm going to vote for hijacking for the better of the two movies. So there you go.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the endings of these movies a little bit and how I felt like it's interesting how Captain Phillips ended the way it did with the SEAL Team 6 coming in and taking the pirates out, and it seemed very action movie and also seemed very American action movie.
Yes.
But the interesting thing to me about it is that it's based on a real story. It's based on a true story. That's what really happened. But then the ending of A Hijacking it's a little less, dramatic. It's a little, it kind of like, there's this long drawn out negotiation, and then finally they come to terms and they let them go and it's over. And it's not this sudden moment where it's like, wham, this has been taken care of. It's done. You never really know if it's done. And actually you feel at the end for the characters, it might not really be done. They're still suffering. They're not on the boat anymore. They're no longer, hijacked. They're no longer, kept in captivity, but they still are suffering from it. So it's a much kind of slower, drawn out ending. But I think they were both appropriate. And I was just wondering what you guys thought, if you had any feelings about how the movies ended and how they impacted your feelings about the movies.
Well, I took away from A Hijacking that they're going to physically get off the boat, but I don't think they're ever going to physically, emotionally ever get past what happened to them.
Sure. Right.
What I liked about Captain Phillips was that they made it very clear that everybody in this movie, the captain, the guys that work the boat, the hijackers, everybody was just doing their job. And SEAL Team 6 came in, and the guys came, and they might as well have had ties on. They kind of came in, boom, 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 did their job, packed up, and went home. And I thought that was a really cool way that Captain Phillips took that theme from the beginning of, hey, I'm just doing my job, and carried it all the way through the end.
Right.
That's a good point, Tom. I agree totally with this. Overall,
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah. All Captain Phillips for me. I think it's got all the components there. I liked the Americanism at the end. I know it's based on a true story, but I like eventually we'll get the job done. I thought they did it better on Captain Phillips, and I did like a lot of aspects of the hijacking, but I think, as we talked about earlier, it's harder for some audiences to connect with it because of the type of choices some of the filmmakers made.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as watchability or something that more people could get into and enjoy, I think Captain Phillips is going to be my overall winner.
All right. Anything else you guys want to add?
I'm good.
All right. Tom?
Yep.
Hijacking?
What?
For overall?
Oh, are we picking?
Yeah.
I'm going to take hijacking, yeah.
All right. Gabe?
I still have to go with Captain Phillips.
All right. And Sam? Captain Phillips, right? Sam?
Yes.
All right.
You're good. You're really good.
Okay. Well, that was... Sorry, guys. I am really rusty right now.
Do we need to start over again?
No, we don't need to start over again. The third time's a charm.
Yeah, you know what they say, eighth time's a charm.
Yeah. Tom, you're breaking the illusion. We never start over.
We're pros.
We get it right. We get it perfect.
We're pros.
Every time, first time.
One take wonders, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Amazing.
Well, let's move on to our suggestions for this month as I attempt to do math, and hopefully I can do that a lot better than running the show this month. So we'll start with Gabe.
Oh, okay. Well, I kind of have two suggestions. One is just like a really short one. Shortly after I watched Captain Phillips, I happened just by chance to catch an episode of South Park, and it was called Fat Beard, and it's where Cartman and some of the other kids join some pirates in Somalia. And it's obviously kind of a spoof of the whole Captain Phillips story, because in the end, the SEAL team comes in and takes out all the pirates all at once at the very end, and it's very funny. And so I would definitely recommend, if you like South Park, check out Fat Beard. And that's kind of my joke recommendation. Then I'd also like to recommend another Paul Greengrass film, which I think is based on a true event and is handled very well from all levels. It's handled with the appropriate respect and dignity. It's exciting, it's interesting, and it's just a well-made film. And that's United 93. And if you haven't seen that, I would highly recommend it. It's another Paul Greengrass, modern masterpiece, maybe.
All right. Thank you, Gabe. Sam.
I too have 7 suggestions for everyone out there.
Come on.
I was talking to my husband today at one point.
Dang.
Sometimes someone recommended a book during this recommendations, and I was like, who recommends a book?
I did. Shut up.
It's funny, but my buddy and I were just talking about that book last night. I haven't read it yet, but it was recommended to him by another friend, and he's reading it and is very excited about the movie.
I don't even remember the book. Oh,
It's
it was
called-
Player One.
what was it?
Ready Player One.
That's right.
And that's the second book I've recommended on this show. Thank you very much.
Oh,
I got it.
sorry,
History.
Tom.
Deal with it.
I'm sorry, Tom. Okay. Well, I'm not going to take a lot of time. One series, a television series that really snuck up on me lately was the HBO series Girls. I've heard about it for the last almost 2 years, never checked it out, actually kind of avoided the project altogether because I thought I wouldn't enjoy it. And my husband brought it home on DVD, and we raced through the entire first season, and we're binge watching the second season as I speak. It's really well done, and the creator, Lena Dunham, basically does it all. She writes, directs, it's edgy. Apatow production company handles the production, and it's HBO. I was really surprised by it, but I love it now, and I think it's really a unique series. So I recommend checking out Girls on DVD and Blu-ray from HBO.
Yeah, they do everything except film in Iowa City.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and there's lots of tits in it too. If you need it just for the boobs, there's lots of a variety of boobs. That's not my main source of liking it, but there's also some wieners too. So. Not as much as Game of Thrones. They're not as floppy, but
isn't that gonna seeing Adam Driver doing all that stuff with his wang? Isn't it gonna affect your watching episode 7?
What?
Adam Driver from Girls.
He's going to be in episode 7.
He's going to be in
Star
episode
Wars.
7. That doesn't bother
Right.
you?
No,
Because I started watching Girls. I got 5 episodes in. I went, whoa, he might be in Star Wars. I got to stop watching this. This is going to screw everything up.
I think he plays a unique character. I love his character, actually.
I do too.
I never knew it, and I'm excited for him to be in the new Star Wars. Like, I think he could be, a very interesting addition to that cast. And again, I was blown away. I don't know why I avoided the series for so long, but I started watching it, and it's so, I don't know, it's fun. It's like gritty and funny in a different way, and just it really kind of caught me off guard.
All right.
Awesome.
Tom.
All right, for my recommendation, we're going to go back to 1992, starring Academy Award winner Tommy Lee Jones, Academy Award nominee Gary Busey, and Razzie winner Steven Seagal. It's about a cook that foils a hijacking on a boat. And
This is
it
awesome.
was nominated for 2 Oscars.
That's right.
Count them, 1, 2. So I'm recommending Under Siege because it's the only Steven Seagal movie I can get all the way through. Because it's pretty good. I actually enjoy it a lot. And
There are tits in that.
and as much as a film snob as I am, I really like Under Siege, and I think it's an absolute blast on a boat, and it's got a cook. It's got everything you want. So after you get done watching Hijacking, you watch Under Siege and watch the cook kick some ass instead of just sitting around whining about his wife.
Yeah, it's got a Playboy Playmate in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Erica Elatsik. It's great. Mm-hmm. Jordan?
Excellent.
Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong.
Hold on, guys. I got to pause this. I'm kidding. I remember seeing that. You remember those things we used to have back in the day, drive-ins? I actually saw that
I've heard of
drive-in
them,
theater. Yeah.
Actually, my very, very first job was at a drive-in.
Was it?
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yep, I burned
okay.
pizzas. That was my job, to burn pizzas. Because we served like the frozen pizzas, and we had a little oven, and I'd put it, somebody'd order one, I'd put it in, and I'd forget about it, and then burn it. The manager was pretty sure that I was doing it because then we would eat the burned pizza afterward.
Oh my God,
He was
that's
for sure I was doing it on purpose for.
Well, I guess I could go with a few recommendations like Gabe, but I haven't been around a lot of film and TV the last month or so, but I did get to see the Grand Budapest Hotel. I did get to see Captain America, Amazing Spider-Man, and I just watched The Wolf of Wall Street this week.
Yep.
Which was fantastic, and we lost Gabe. Hold on.
I took care of him.
It's like a tribute to Gabe now.
Did Gabe
Actually,
get hijacked?
We lost him.
I
Did Gabe
said,
get
"Mark,
hijacked?
Too many recommendations. You overloaded the system, Gabe.
I guess. Well, if you guys didn't want to hear my drive-in story, you could have just said so. Didn't have to hang up on me.
Let's keep it under 5 next time.
Oh,
Just,
jeez.
when did
All
you
right, we'll recommend a movie.
when did you cut out?
Are you serious? Oh man! You know what really sucks is
No.
I actually was gonna recommend a book, but screw you guys. You can watch Under Siege.
Actually, I am kind of interested in this book. I definitely want to read this book. It sounds.
What's the last thing you remember? When did we lose you?
I don't know. I don't know exactly when it happened. I just realized all of a sudden that I didn't hear anything.
Like,
Couldn't
was
hear
I
anybody.
talking? Was Tom
We can start a
talking?
new cast to be Tom Haggis's book smack.
Did I say
Very
something
drunk.
did I say something about my drive-in? Like I worked at a drive-in?
Yeah,
You said something
and
about a
you-
drive-in. and
you
I said
burnt
my
pizzas.
very first job was at a drive-in.
And you burned pizzas.
And I burnt pizzas, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was shortly after that it.
Oh wow!
Did you see some girls' boobs behind the counter once? Weren't you saying that?
No, No, I wish I had that story.
Okay, well, I was going on that I've actually been playing catch up on my DVR, and this is something that aired in December. So it's been really weird to see the commercials for Christmas time. But I'm going to recommend Mob City, written and directed by Frank Darabont. And if you guys haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. It's 6 episodes. It's just a mini series, so 6 hours long. And it has John Bernthal in it, who was in The Walking Dead. He was also in Wolf of Wall Street. It has Neil McDonough, who was in Band of Brothers, the remake of Walking Tall. He's been in a lot of stuff. Alexa Davalos and Gregory Itzin, Edward Burns. Gregory Itzin was in 24. Edward Burns, and my favorite guy, just because I've worked with him a lot, Danny Roebuck, is in it as well. So I would recommend Mob City.
Just to be clear, Sam recommended a TV show. You recommended a miniseries, and Gabe recommended an episode of South Park, and I'm the one getting bitched at.
True.
So go watch Under Siege.
Well,
if
at least
you
we're in
watch...
the same media. It's visual.
All right.
From Tom, right there. There you go.
All right. I don't mind the books. I don't mind music. I don't mind any of that. Just as long as you have a recommendation. That's
Y'all
all I
getting
care
a book
about.
recommendation next month. You're gonna like it.
It should probably be a graphic novel or something.
Bend
There you
over and
go.
take my recommendation.
Oh my God.
I got your graphic novel right
All
here.
right. I'm gonna poke.
on.
I'm gonna poke the monkey. Here you
Please do.
go.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Your winner by decision is Captain Phillips!
So, boys,
What's up?
where can people find you, stalk you on the internet? And we'll start with Gabe.
Check me out on Facebook. You can also check out our 48-hour films on YouTube. Our team name is One Genome Short, and we have a channel named the same thing.
All right. Sam.
You can find me in Des Moines somewhere if you're lucky. Or you can check out 48hourfilm.com/Des Moines and find out about the event, and then you can reach me through there as well. Also on Facebook.
All right. And Tom.
You can find me on. I'm on Facebook, but don't bother me there. You can Vimeo. I've got what? I
ahead.
like my privacy.
Okay.
Clearly. So you can find me on Vimeo. Wedding Day Rewind. You can look for me on there. WeddingDayRewind.com is my website. It's got all our wedding films, and CheshireMoonFilms.com has all of my non-wedding films. So
Nice.
lots of fun stuff. Check it out.
I
Or
heard.
don't.
I heard people could also find you at a Barnes and Noble or at a library.
Certain adult facilities.
I get my books from an adult bookstore, sir. Thank you very much.
If you made a recommendation from an adult bookstore, I'd totally would be like, yeah, that's cool.
The thing is, if I recommend something from an adult bookstore, it would be a movie.
That's true.
Yeah, why do they even call them bookstores?
I don't know. Those highfalutin pornographers.
Yeah, it's so cerebral.
They sit there and cluck their tongues and stroke their chins.
Yeah, that's what they do.
I don't think it's their chins. Stroke. I'm sorry. All right, we've gone off the rails. We would appreciate it if you could leave us a review on iTunes or whatever podcasting service you use, especially for our upcoming podcast, Adult Bookstore Book Talk with Tom Haggis.
Porn smack.
Porn
Porn
smack.
I like it.
We actually do have on our list Debbie does Dallas versus Deep Throat. Some
do.
smart ass put that on there. Yes.
That's great.
I would totally do that, but I don't know where to find them.
Oh God, they've got to be out on
You
the
don't.
internet
They're not
somewhere.
already part of your collection.
Of course, they
No.
do shut porn down on the internet at 10
My,
o'clock at
my
night.
local bookstore doesn't carry it. If you know what I mean.
You can't get it remastered on Blu-ray there.
I'll
The
check the
Criterion
library.
collection.
The Criterion collection.
Like the nipples are like finally restored. Beautiful, man.
Oh my God.
Oh, all right. You can contact us at cinesmack@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Just search Cinesmack. And for June, we're going to take on the Third Reich like Indiana Jones and burn a bunch of Tom Haggis's books as Iron Sky takes on Nazis from the center of the earth. So for Gabe, Tom, Sam, and myself, thanks for listening and go catch a flick.
Harvey Firestein?
Oh, sure. But whichever Sam feels is.
Oh, yeah. We want it to be natural. Do it, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, natural. You record.
Yes, recording.
I'm your captain now.
Yeah, you're right. Jimmy Stewart would have been better.
Yeah, give me a Jimmy
Yeah.
Stewart.
Well, I'm your captain now, bitch. How about some soup?
It was kind of Jimmy Stewart and Jesse from Breaking Bad.
It was. It was.
This has been a test of the Southsider Studios podcast system. This was only a test. If this were a true lack of entertainment, your head would explode. Go to iTunes and subscribe to our feed. Just search Southsider Studios.